Hi everyone, and welcome to my fourth video on my Bramble Ramble. Today's video I want to talk about good advice for people supporting their loved ones through chemo. As those of you that have already watched my videos know, that my husband had 6 months of really hard chemotherapy last year, and it's definitely a really steep, really fast learning curve. And I wanted to at least help try and guide people through. Everybody will react differently and everybody will have wants and needs. But I certainly want to say that you're not alone and there is support out there and there's help out there. And I wanted to give you some ideas of how I managed it and how we made the journey as easy as possible. For one of the things I learned really quickly was that I was going to completely and utterly smother my husband, Rich. I was so protective of him, wanting to do everything for him. Was sitting just staring at him, waiting for a wince of pain, waiting for a movement to see what I could do to help. And I realized really quickly that I was smothering him, and if I carried on this way, it just would not work. And so I realized that I had to step back. Now, that didn't mean that my worries and my feelings changed at all. But it's having the confidence that that person that you love and that you're watching suffer will tell you when they need you. And that a constant, are you okay? What can I do? What do you need? Are you okay? Over and over is just exhausting for them. And I really can't tell you enough how to just trust that they will tell you when they need you. Is the best advice I can give you. It really is to understand from after that first chemo, to try and set these goals, this guideline to go through, so that you can understand each other, to basically, what they say, read the room. Your loved one, you know them so well, or that person you're supporting, you really do know that person, and you will soon know to read the signs of what they need without this continual asking them. And so try to learn that your love is there, and they know that they can ask you. They know that you will be there when they need them. But give them that bit of space, because they're going through so much that's so overwhelming, and they will tell you when they need you. And so my best bit of advice is to just find that, talk about it. On a good day when they feel strong, say, what can I do? What am I doing that's causing you more aggravation? What can I do to make things easier for you? Will you promise me that if you're not great, I can do something? And the reality is that there will be some things that are kind of intimate that will help them. Or one of the things I learned was my husband suffered terribly from aching joints, really bad aching joints. And so I did a little bit of research, and I was able to find that, like on the back of the calf of his legs, it took me no time at all to realise that there was a throbbing point, and by holding this, you could feel this energy going through his legs, and I could give him some relief. And even of an evening, massaging his toes, because his toes became clawed through neuropathy, and those things that could just ease that pain a little bit, those are amazing. There are people that think that the only way is to nag somebody. This is not the way. and Rich and I would not have worked if I'd been nagging him. You cannot try and push somebody when they have chemo. It's not going to work to say, oh, you can do this, you can just do this. Because if you truly look at that person, you know that they are pushed to their absolute limit. They are doing everything they are capable of doing. You can't ask any more of them, and you have no right to ask any more of them. You need to give them a little bit of space, but you also need to find what works for you. And I cannot lessen anybody's. I understand. I wanted to be with Rich every second of the day to see him through anything and everything. And so there were times that it took everything I had to just be quiet. And even though I could see he was in terrible pain, I knew there was nothing I could do. So there was absolutely no point to say, are you okay? What can I do? All these questions over and over. You just can't do it. It doesn't help. So to accept that fact and to accept and trust the fact that they will tell you if and when they need you is the best advice I can give anybody. It is a really tough time, chemo. This can be months and months. This will change and affect your life. And so the sooner you can get into this smooth pattern of being able to read a person, to be able to just step back a little bit, it's the best thing I can say to you, honestly. It's a tough time, but you can get through it together as long as you've got somebody you truly trust to support you through it. Because the reality is sometimes when somebody has chemo, they're at their most vulnerable and they're at their worst. And the last thing any of us want is for people to see us when we're like this, to see us when we can't raise a smile, when even being awake hurts, and every moment of a day can be filled with pain and fighting, and it's just a battle. At times it's just a true battle, but you're never alone. And what we were so aware of that, you just try and remember you're never alone. And it may seem hard, but one of the things, it almost was a mantra for us, and I truly believe it is true. There is always somebody worse than you, in a worse position. We're so aware of us, and although it doesn't make our journey any easier, it is the truth, without a doubt. And we are blessed and lucky. I'm so blessed and lucky that Richard's still here, and at the moment he's in remission, and I will be forever, ever grateful for every single day, without a doubt. And so, although at times it feels so hard and it can feel so lonely, there is help out there. And it's knowing that if you need to talk, go and call somebody, talk about the most silly things, or pour your heart out to somebody away from your loved one and say, oh, it's just so hard at the moment. It's really cathartic. It does you good. It takes some of that pressure from you. I know for me that when Rich was having his chemo for hours at a time, I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't concentrate knowing this was happening to him. And so I would walk. That was my way of getting through it. Just keep walking and walking. And it worked. It just worked. So I think a key thing is to just give somebody space, to just be there for them, but just understand that they will tell you when they need you. It's truly the best thing. There are things that you may think to look for that can be hugely disappointing. The halfway mark we thought was going to be this great, wonderful feeling of euphoria. And yeah, we're half the way there. And this truly was not the case, because this was when we were really in the thick of it, going really further into the thick of it. And so I would say, don't pin your hopes on waiting for that middle point, waiting for this moment of, yeah, this is it. I don't believe I think for the majority of people it doesn't happen. The majority of people, this is when it's getting really, really tough. But you can do it and you can get through it, definitely, because you are halfway there. And although it's just can be hellish, you are doing it, and each day is just a day ticked off. You just have to take every single day at a time. Appreciate that sun being out there. I know for my husband, although he couldn't be in the sun and we had to be really careful of him being near the sun, he was desperate for the outside. He was desperate to feel the fresh air on his face, to hear the wind going through the trees. Those are the things that got him through. Hearing cars go by and chattering and children playing, knowing that life is going on, although you can't be part of it, to hear it was comforting, and it just made the days a little more bearable. So although it can be difficult with the sun, be out there. And I used to take him for a drive, and there were days he couldn't get out the car, and there were days that after 15 minutes he'd had enough, he was so uncomfortable. But just to be able to be in the countryside, to look around you and to see life going on is really worth it. So I really recommend the fresh air, the hearing the birds singing, feeling that breeze on your face, or even just if all you can do is to sit in a car and to just see a little bit of a different view, it's really worth doing. So that's another really, really important piece of advice I could give you is, let nature help. It truly is a healer, absolutely. The other thing is that, support, it can be huge, and it's definitely can be tricky at times. It can be awkward, because there will be times when you don't want to speak to anybody, and make sure that you have the right support, that they say, that's okay, we're here when you're ready. That's just huge. So that's another way to help you get through chemo, to make sure that your partner, if they're the one in chemo, that they've got, maybe it's work colleagues, that they can talk about something completely unrelated to chemo. Knowing that world is turning, knowing that maybe they could use their brain just to make them feel like they still have that little bit of their old self in them. And if you're the one giving the support, that you can call somebody up on one day and say, this is just horrible today, but I'll be okay tomorrow. And know that tomorrow's a new day, and every day is an up and down, and you will have no idea what's ahead of you. But there will be light at the end of the tunnel for you. There is hope. There are just really wonderful moments in that. So I really can say, you can do. You are so strong. You truly are so much stronger than you ever thought. And my other bit of advice for getting through chemo is make sure what seems to be the most insignificant, tiny little thing, if it worries you, get the help. Call the doctor, get the help. When you have chemo, what can be the smallest thing can change within seconds. So never think, I'll be okay later. Rich had 2 emergency visits while he was on chemo. One, his appendix needed to come out, and the second was when his body decided it had an infection and it turned on itself. Those were terrifying times, especially the second one, where we were told in no uncertain times that this could go to critical at any moment. And the watch on him in this emergency room, the feeling and knowing that we were on such this high state of alert, and also at that time that Rich was at the absolute lowest point I'd seen him, where he truly didn't know whether he could take it anymore. And as a support person, this is just the hardest thing ever. And on that very worst time, I remember I was talking to a doctor and saying, can we take him into the garden? If we can get him into the garden, can we just sit in the garden? And they were truly didn't want him to leave the room because of his heightened risk of infection. And then the doctor looked, and he looked at Rich and he said, take him to the garden. And so we got him down there, me and my son, and we saw just a little bit of that weight lifted. And although there was no miracle cure, there was no way to get through it until it's the body's own time. It lifted him enough to give him the strength to go on. So listen, if you have any worries at all, any doubts, listen to your body. What's your partner? What's your loved one? And then you'll know if you need help. You'll know if you need to pick up that phone. Don't ever ignore that feeling. Your body's telling you, so please listen. And the other thing for the chemo is to accept that there's up days and there's down days. There's good days, bad days. You've heard it, but it is the truth. It's the reality of it. You have no idea what each day will bring. But you just savor those good ones, appreciate those good ones, and they'll get you through the rough ones. And savor that sun. When that sun's shining in the sky, let it help you and heal you. Listen to those birds singing, listen to the kids playing, or if you need quiet, close those windows and have the peace. It's your time. However you need to get through it, you can do it, and you can get through it. And just never ever be afraid to get the support you need. So this may seem hard, a video like this, but it is the reality of getting through chemo. And it's not all bad. It is, without a doubt, this will be the hardest journey. There's no, I can't give rose tinted glasses, but I can assure you that there were times we were laughed, and every day, every single day, we found something to smile about and something to be grateful for. It truly, that is the truth. And so I hope that this gives you hope. Remember, you've got such courage and bravery in you that you can do it. And is any way we can help, I can help. If you want me to bring Rich on here, he's more than happy to talk. I'm just trying to do this for him, as you'll see if you see the first video I've done. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have the most wonderful day, and take care everybody. Thank you. Bye bye.